Good evening, everyone. Happy quarantine. Hello. Welcome to Get the Fork Out. I'm very excited. Today's host is a friend of mine, another chef in the industry, and he's on Instagram. He is the Yacht Chef on Instagram. He started a few years ago, and he does really amazing videos on kind of how-to and just insight into the business. So if you're already in the industry, check out his videos. If you're not and you're curious about it, then definitely check out his stuff. Great guy, hilarious dude, and we talk about provisioning along with many other things. Without further ado, Dean Harrison. All right, hello, the Yacht Chef, Dean Harrison. How are you today?
Good, bro. Good. How are you?
Very well, very well. The yacht has been turned into a boat-shaped edifice that's now out of the water. So we're on the dry dock, and we are a 5-story climb up to the main deck. So it's interesting times here in old Savannah.
And also, it looks like we've swapped positions, I believe. Except
Yeah.
I just don't have a motorcycle.
Yeah, but you are in Mexico, where I'm sure I know and love.
So for those of you who don't know, Brennan is the new rotational head chef on board at Orient. So
yes,
so he looks pretty happy. Haven't got any complaints from the crew, which is good. So it seems to be going very well.
Actually, it's a really good crew. It's an amazing crew. Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. It's you asked me a few months ago my ideal job, and I said, rotation or charter on 100 meter. But no, this is the size. Rotational charter, busy 60 meter. Stoked, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. I mean, it was a bit of a hard decision to pick the right person, but I think I made the right decision. So
yeah, I imagine there's a lot of people looking as well. It's been a tough time. It's COVID and industry's uncertain. And
I mean, even lucky enough to go rotational during COVID is. I mean, we got a great boss, great captain, which is really good. So pretty happy about that, you know.
Oh, I'm stoked, man. Yeah, I'm stoked. Why don't we, besides being a very successful charter yacht chef, you are also the Yacht Chef on Instagram with just a few followers. So why don't you talk about, rather than, it's interesting that you've become popular, but talk about like the kind of the mindset and the reason that you started in the first place and what type of content that you like to show people about yachting.
Yeah, so I mean, when you say it like that, I sound like a bit of a wanker, but it's like it wasn't my intention to put the Yacht Chef, you know, like it was just a bit of I was sitting in the South Pacific actually, and I just finished a charter, like a 2-week charter, I think it was at the time. It was very, very intense, very hard provisioning, a lot of logistics. Yes. And I sat there and I was just like, I film a lot of content. Like I love capturing stuff. I mean, for those who know, I love videography and everything else. So I just love to capture and compress all the moments I have over a period of weeks to a 3 or 4 minute video, so I can remember. So it was just something that I was passionate about. So I thought, let's take this to the next level. And I thought, what would be a great name to have that people are going to remember? Like, shit, okay, had a look, did a couple of, I can't even remember what other handles I looked for, but it ended up like being that the Yacht Chef was available. This is like 2010 or 11 maybe. I don't know. It was really early on Instagram days, so it was available. I was like, shit, I'm going to take this. It's it's like, I think it's a name that people are going to search for. It's got yacht in it, it's got chef in it, and it's going to come up with searches very quickly. So, and then I think I quickly became someone to go towards for Green Crew and stuff, just because that was the name that came up first. So I think I just started helping people in that way, where I was just like offering them, advice and where to get their courses and everything else. And it was just something that kind of came about.
It's really like, it was such a fascinating story. We were talking a few months ago, I think, before we were even talking about rotating. And you mentioned something about like not wanting to be one of those like kind of bitter, reclusive chefs that was scared to like share knowledge and something to that effect. And I remember thinking that too, like through the videos that I was doing on quarantine. It's like,
it kind of takes a little bit of balls to put yourself out there like that, because chefs can be assholes and we can really tear each other apart. So it's like,
oh yeah,
it's a little nerve wracking to stick your neck out like that. And I appreciate it. It's courageous.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're doing the same thing on another level. Like, it's something that I wish I could do. I could like be on camera like you. Takes balls to do that, as you said. And
well, you're doing it right now, dude. I hate to say.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, praise to you for doing it like a consistent episode on your quarantine cookery. Is that what it's called?
Quarantine kitchen. But that's kind of over. That moniker's over. It's now it's just going to be olive oil and gasoline. It gives me more kind of variety, I feel like.
Yeah. And so I don't know what my point was there, but
just about like sharing knowledge and sticking out. And
yeah, so I guess it's you got to put yourself out there, whether it's shit, whether it's good, whether all of the good and the bad. I'm not there to hide. I've put out some shit plates and I've posted shit plates before, and I'm not afraid of doing it. Like we're not all perfect 100% of the time. And that's how we learn.
Yeah.
So, as you know,
we're not Michelin star chefs either. We can aspire to be, we can try real hard, but 99.9% of the time we're doing comfort food that looks really nice for guests,
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's what the client wants. It's not always something that you're going to be proud of, but it's what they want. If they're happy, that's like you're doing your job.
Exactly. And that's what people are like, oh, well, what's your specialty? Like, I'm supposed to say Italian or sushi. I'm like, well, my specialty is kind of like giving you exactly what you want when you want it without even having to ask for it. Like, and I think that's what we do is we learn these wealthy individuals' wants and needs, and then we try to build off of that, mostly for our own sake, for some variety. I think, like, just to not keep making the same thing over and over again. Just because some people are wealthy doesn't mean they have kind of varied palates, and it's nice to teach people and show people something new that they might love.
Yeah, I mean, it's that fine line, isn't it, to do new things, but also give them the comfort that they're paying for. So
yeah, that's kind of my common answer for what's your specialty.
I never have the answer. I was on the Super Yacht Radio just a couple of days ago, and they're like, I knew it was coming. I knew that question was coming, and I still don't have an answer for that. Like,
well, steal mine if you think it fits, because it's like, or you can say like, I'm attentive. No, I just try to pay attention. I try to learn, like, when the plates come back, what they look like, what they eat, who ate it.
Yeah.
It helps.
Yeah, sure. Exactly.
It's personal experience. Like I figured out a long time ago on a charter, like, or just even private, it wouldn't matter. Like, if I was wealthy, what kind of experience would I want on a yacht, on my yacht? And I would just want the best shit to show up at the table whenever I wanted it. And I try as best I can in that direction. Whether how close I get, I don't know, but that's the goal.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually nuts to think about it. Like, I mean, our answer is $600,000 a week before the costs on top of that. To think people are paying that amount of money, that pressure on top of the chef is like, the food can make or break it. And if I'm paying $600,000 a week, I'll be like, I want everything and anything and now and let's go. So it's a lot of pressure for the chefs, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is. And actually, chief engineer had a good statement the other day. I'm sure it's not the first time he said it, but it's like, the chef is in charge of crew morale.
Yeah.
Also guest morale on the trip. It's like, it's a lot of happiness goes into food. Like,
yeah, it is.
It's huge. So coming from a chief engineer, I respect that. Whether it's true or not, doesn't matter. At least you have empathy from another head department. Like, it's a tough job.
For sure, yeah. So
should we focus on provisioning?
Yeah. So I think we should chat about provisioning.
All right. Well, folks listening, I gotta kind of look on my phone just to get an outline up here of some questions that I thought would be interesting for people not in yachting and people maybe in yachting. Just to two chefs that have been doing it a while. Just talk about kind of what's it like on board a little bit. A little kind of glimpse into what it's like on board.
No, you're out of focus.
Really?
That's weird.
Because on this thing it says I'm.
That's focused there. Where your hand was.
It sucks. It's got to be so. It's like you lose all the flexibility of using a DSLR. Like, it's got to be in the same focal length as a goddamn laptop.
No, you
Anyway.
should, yeah, you should. Yeah, you should be
For
able
another
to
time.
your,
Fuck it. We're just gonna do the. Let's get going.
yeah, your focus right there.
Perfect. Perfect. Just what everyone wants to see, my ear hole.
Ass head.
FaceTime HD built in. Okay. And that one might need a little bit of a clean. All right. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Let's just do this.
Okay.
All right. Oh, shit, this is so weird. I gotta say like welcome and like I've never done this before. All right. Hello, the Yacht Chef Dean Harrison. How are you today?
Good, bro. Good. How are you?
Very well. Very well. The yacht has been turned into a boat-shaped edifice that's now out of the water. So we're on the dry dock, and we are a 5-story climb up to the main deck. So it's interesting times here in old Savannah.
And also, it looks like we've swapped positions, I believe. Except
Yeah.
I just don't have a motorcycle.
Yeah, but you are in Mexico, where
Yeah.
country I know and love.
So for those of you who don't know, Brennan is the new rotational head chef on board Orient. So
yes,
so he looks pretty happy. Haven't got any complaints from the crew, which is good. So it seems to be going very well.
Actually, it's a really good crew. It's an amazing crew. Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. It's you asked me a few months ago my ideal job, and I said, rotational charter on 100 meter, but no, this is the size. Rotational charter, busy 60 meter. Stoked, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. I mean, it was a bit of a hard decision to pick the right person, but I think I made the right decision. So
yeah, I imagine there was a lot of people looking as well. It's been a tough time. It's COVID and the industry's uncertain. And
I mean, even lucky enough to go rotational during COVID is, I mean, we got a great boss, great captain, which is really good. So pretty happy about that, you know.
Oh, I'm stoked, man. Yeah, I'm stoked. Why don't we, besides being a very successful charter yacht chef, you are also the yacht chef on Instagram with just a few followers. So why don't you talk about, rather than, it's interesting that you've become popular, but talk about like the kind of the mindset and the reason that you started in the first place and what type of content that you like to show people about yachting.
Yeah, so I mean, when you say it like that, I sound like a bit of a wanker, but it's like it wasn't my intention to put the yacht chef, you know, like it was just a bit of a. I was sitting in the South Pacific actually, and I just finished a charter, like a 2-week charter, I think it was at the time. It was very, very intense, very hard provisioning, a lot of logistics, yes. And I sat there and I was just like, I film a lot of content, like I love capturing stuff. I mean, for those who know, I love videography and everything else, so I just love to capture and compress all the moments I have over a period of weeks to a 3 or 4 minute video, so I can remember. So it was just something that I was passionate about. So I thought, let's take this to the next level. And I thought, what would be a great name to have that people are going to remember? I'm like, shit, okay, had a look, did a couple of, I can't even remember what other handles I looked for, but it ended up like being that the Yacht Chef was available. This is like 2010 or 11 maybe. I don't know. It was really early on Instagram days. So it was available. I was like, shit, I'm going to take this. It's it's like, I think it's a name that people are going to search for. It's got yacht in it, it's got chef in it, and it's going to come up with searches very quickly. So, and then I think I quickly became someone to go towards for green crew and stuff, just because I was the name that came up first. So I think I just started helping people in that way, where I was just like offering them, advice and where to get their courses and everything else. And it was just something that kind of came about.
It's really like, it was such a fascinating story. We were talking a few months ago, I think, before we were even talking about rotating. And you mentioned something about like not wanting to be one of those like kind of bitter, reclusive chefs that was scared to like share knowledge and something to that effect. And I remember thinking that too, like through the videos that I was doing on quarantine. It's like, it kind of takes a little bit of balls to put yourself out there like that, because chefs can be assholes and we can really tear each other apart. So it's like, it's a little nerve wracking to stick your neck out like that. And I appreciate it. It's courageous.
Yeah. I mean, you're doing the same thing on another level. Like it's something that I wish I could do. I could like be on camera like you. It's takes balls to do that, as you said. And
well, you're doing it right now, dude. I hate to say.
well, yeah. I mean, yeah, praise to you for doing it like a consistent episodes on your quarantine cookery. Is that what it's called?
Quarantine kitchen. But that's
Kitchen,
that's kind of over. That moniker's over. It's now it's just going to be olive oil and gasoline. It gives me more kind of variety. I feel like.
Yeah, and so I don't know what my point was there, but
just about like sharing knowledge and sticking out and.
Yeah, so I guess it's it's you got to put yourself out there, whether it's shit, whether it's good, whether all of the good and the bad. I'm not there to hide. I've put out some shit plates and I've posted shit plates before, and I'm not afraid of doing it. Like we're not all perfect 100% of the time, and that's how we learn.
Yeah,
so, as you know,
we're not Michelin star chefs either. We can aspire to be. We can try real hard, but 99.9% of the time, we're doing comfort food that looks really nice for guests.
100%. Yeah. I mean, we're not, it's what the client wants. It's not always something that you're going to be proud of, but it's what they want. If they're happy, that's like you're doing your job.
Exactly. And that's what people are like, oh, well, what's your specialty? Like I'm supposed to say Italian or sushi. So I'm like, well, my specialty is kind of like giving you exactly what you want when you want it without even having to ask for it. Like, and I think that's what we do is we learn these wealthy individuals' wants and needs, and then we try to build off of that. Mostly for our own sake, for some variety, I think, like just to not keep making the same thing over and over again. Just because some people are wealthy doesn't mean they have kind of varied palates, and it's nice to teach people and show people something new that they might love.
Yeah, I mean it's that fine line, isn't it, to do new things, but also give them the comfort that they're paying for. So
that's kind of my common answer for what's your specialty.
It's I never have the answer. I was on the Super Yacht Radio just a couple of days ago, and they're like, I knew it was coming. I knew that question was coming, and I still don't have an answer for that. Like,
well, steal mine if you think it fits, because it's like, or you can say like, I'm attentive. I just try to pay attention. I try to learn, like when the plates come back, what do they look like, what they eat, who ate it.
Yeah,
it helps.
Yeah, sure. Exactly.
It's personal experience. Like I figured out a long time ago on a charter, or just even private, it wouldn't matter. Like if I was wealthy, what kind of experience would I want on my yacht? And I would just want the best shit to show up at the table whenever I wanted it. And I try as best I can in that direction. Whether how close I get, I don't know, but that's the goal.
Yeah, I mean it's actually nuts to think about it. Like I mean, our answer is $600,000 a week before costs on top of that. To think people are paying that amount of money, that pressure on top of the chef is like, the food can make or break it. And if I'm paying $600,000 a week, I'll be like, I want everything and anything and now and let's go. So it's a lot of pressure for the chefs, I think.
Yeah, it is. And actually, chief engineer had a good statement the other day. I'm sure it's not the first time he said it, but he's like, the chef is in charge of crew morale.
Yeah.
Also the guest morale on the trip. It's like it's a lot of happiness goes into food. Like
it is.
It's huge. So coming from a chief engineer, I respect that. Whether it's true or not doesn't matter. At least you have empathy from another head department. Like it's a tough job.
For sure. Yeah.
So should we focus on provisioning?
Yeah. So I think we should chat about provisioning.
All right. Well, folks listening, I gotta kind of looking on my phone just to get an outline up here of some questions that I thought would be interesting for people not in yachting and people maybe in yachting. Just to two chefs that have been doing it a while. Just talk about kind of what's it like on board a little kind of glimpse into what it's like on board. So, have you had to like deal with any kind of food budgets for guests, private charter crew, anything like that in the past? It's probably my most boring question.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends really. Like, I think most of my career hasn't been really tracked as much. So, keep the crew happy, keep the guests happy, and that's your main priority. So, other than that, nothing's been brought up. Orient's is a little bit different. A much larger yacht where they track everything's budgeted. Obviously, besides guest or charter provisions, but yeah, I mean, everything's it's not hard to keep within those budgets if everyone's happy at the end of the trip. That's the main goal.
Yeah.
I think.
I think I agree with that completely, especially like on a charter yacht, there's always going to be leftover stock and nothing like, vulgar, like leftover Wagyu that the crew consume, wink, wink. But, there's leftover. So you can kind of, it's creative accounting and just make it goes easier on the crew budget, which I think is around like, well, I want to say like $15 a day. What do we just talked about it? It's per crew member. So it's actually, it's not ridiculous, but it's definitely workable, and you can get some good protein in that price. And that's kind of what we're talking about. That's the biggest ticket item is the protein, the meat and the fish.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially if you got some big meat eaters there, like all the deck boys and engineers coming in. Like sometimes they have two steaks, So
yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. That's the other ones are going to be a lot more exciting, more interesting. What's the hardest place you've ever provisioned in your career?
Oh, I want to say, so I started my career in the South Pacific, the first 3 years, kind of New Zealand, Australia. Yeah. And that was, I mean, I got thrown in the deep end. Like I got sent to New Caledonia, which was actually the best of the islands because it's got that French influence. So you've got the baguettes and you've got all the cheeses and all that kind of French produce, which was amazing. But you'd go to the outer islands and that'd be like, anywhere like Vanuatu or Fiji, you've got papayas, coconuts, and that's pretty much it. So it got to a point where I was in, traveling to some of those outer islands, and you had no choice but to use what you had. Yeah. And I never used provisioners in 3 years. I never used provisioners. I went to the local market
as well. So on your own, right?
Yeah, by myself. To think about it now, I was really young. I was enthusiastic. I was new to the industry, and I was just like, yeah, let's go. And I burnt out. Like 3 years, I absolutely burnt out. I got to the end. I'm like, my back's ruined. My mentality of it all, I was just absolutely knackered every single way. So, it's not necessarily a good thing to do all that. Like it's fun and exciting to go get all the produce yourself, but sometimes it's unmanageable.
Yeah.
As you know.
Yes. Yeah. I think this goes on to another thing that I've thought of over the years. Like, ideally, you want to get a job that puts you in the best. I can't even get this out today. That puts you in a place to do your best food. Like, I want to work in a situation, the whole kind of package together as one that puts me in a position to do my best food. And I feel like Soul Chef doesn't offer anyone that. And I know really talented chefs that do it, and they love it. And they've been in the game as long as you have, as long as I have, but they love it. I'm like, all right, well, I don't love doing 5 meals a day and running around provisioning and doing all the cleaning. It's nuts. And you're just like your head, the water's here, and you're just like trying to stay afloat. It sucks, like all day, every day, never ends.
It is. And the thing is, like, other people from the outside don't see that. All they see is the food getting on the table for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's all they care about. They don't care what happens in the background. They don't care that you've been out there sweating, all day running around, 5 trolleys, it doesn't. All that doesn't matter. So if you can get away with it, and if you can work it in a way that you're putting out the best food you can, spending as much time in the galley rather than sparsely dividing yourself into all these different areas that you just don't have time for. It's exactly. So I mean, my view is, it's if you can manage it in that way of not, what you can do is you can get local fruit and vegetable suppliers. They're not going to charge you provisioning prices. They're going to charge you a restaurant price. So it's wholesale as well. So
it just it keeps you away from the stoves, which is ultimately where everyone should want us is to be cooking cool shit. But a lot of our job is finding cool shit to cook, and a lot of experience comes with that. I think my hardest was Male in the Maldives. Going through the Maldives, just in general, provision there was really tricky. Nothing like what you did constantly for years on end, like in Vanuatu in the South Pacific. I haven't been there yet in my yachting career, but that was definitely the hardest. We were getting some pretty gnarly food. It wasn't, it wasn't good. It wasn't even clean. I wouldn't even call it. It was rude.
A lot of that gets flown in from Sri Lanka, right?
Or Dubai. Yep, you're right. It comes meets the middle.
Yeah, wow.
Then we did sort out. I think we're using Asia Pacific, which is also our agent, which is something I always avoid is using. Oh, our agent has a provisioner. It's usually the worst provisioner in the world. But in this case, there's this guy. Shit you not, his name was Putu, and he was a ninja. He could find anything, and he mostly. I think their main office was in Oz, so I think stuff was just coming from Australia in that instance. But it just takes a while. It takes that familiarization and that experience to find the right provisioner or to find the right fruit and veg supplier to just. But those first few weeks or months in a new location, you're just running around like a dickhead. It's just what you do. It's what you do.
How big was that yacht?
86 meters. That was Motor Yacht Ecstasy. So there was I think 30 crew and like 14 guests, and just 2 of us in the galley. Like, I mean, this is an interesting topic too. We can talk about the sizes of yachts versus crew members versus how many chefs are in the galley. The 60 meter is like right at that perfect point. 55 meter, there's only one chef.
Yeah.
Usually, obviously, there's also 60 meters with one chef as well, but usually 2 chefs, and then you get to 90 meter, and until you from 60 to 90 meter, you only have 2 chefs, and then at 90, bam, 3 chefs. You always want to be in that sweet spot. You don't want to be in that sweet spot, or you're just getting screwed over.
100%.
So hard. You got loads of crew, loads of food coming in, loads of food going out. It's like, oh man.
So Ecstasy was just before that third chef, right? 86 meters.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it would have been like, for those of you who don't know, I mean, it's like 90 meter plus, you'd get like a third chef maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's crazy. Like that's a lot of mouths to feed. And I mean, compared to me working on a 30 meter in the South Pacific, okay, sure, there's a certain service level that I had, but it was never going to be as good as an 86 meter that would be expected. You know, these people would fly in and I guess expect the top level service and be like, I don't care if you think you can't find something. I want you to get it. Right? Yeah. So, I mean, it's stressful, man.
Yeah, it's stressful. And sometimes I feel like getting ready for a trip is actually harder than the trip.
Oh, yeah.
It's mise en place. It's like, it's preparation. So you should be pumping by the time the guests get on. You should be ready to go. But that was an interesting time. We either traveled not at all on that boat. We sat for like a winter in Tarragona, or we were just on it. We had to be back from Bali to south of France for a 2-day charter in a month. So,
no kidding.
And it was through the Indian Ocean in August, which, as everyone knows, I mean, I didn't until the time, but I think every like seafarer, every captain knows you don't do that. 9 meter swells. We broke everything. We went past survey. We like cracked superstructures around the heli hangar.
Oh
like,
my God.
It was a fuck up. One stewardess got locked into a guest cabin because we moved to the guest cabins because it was so rough in the bow. 9 meters. Like it's just like an elevator. Like you go down, you come up. And no one even the people that got seasick normally weren't, the seas were so big, no one got seasick. So Emma gets locked in this guest cabin for like 6 hours. Like if it's really rough, you do not want to be locked in a cabin you cannot escape from, because we are at this point, after 6 days of this shit, afraid of sinking. It was the real fear. It was like, I remember it, the same girl, she comes into the galley, she pokes her head in the galley. She's like, Brennan, I'm really scared. I'm like, shit, now I'm really scared. I wasn't thinking about dying until you just came in here and told me that you're scared. Yeah, I didn't say that. I was just like, look, we can't turn around. We can't press pause. The boat's going to float. We're going that way. It'll be fine.
So was that one memory that's always stuck with you? Is that like your one, like, this is, I'm going to die memory on a yacht? Or potentially could?
But it was so long that there was only like fleeting thoughts of that. And maybe only once she came in and said that, and I might have forgotten about it afterwards. Because it wasn't like, it was weird because it wasn't like massive weather. It was like blue skies, white clouds, huge seas. It was, and 60 knots sustained.
Wow.
That ocean does that time of year. So it was kind of stupid. So like basically the person that we did that 2-day charter for got the boat for tens of millions of dollars less because it wouldn't pass survey. Yeah, it was a joke. I think people got fired over that. Like no one on the crew did, but I think management made a mistake. Like,
I mean, it's a stupid move, isn't it? To go back for 2 days.
Oh, Polaris was with us too. This was owned by I can't say who, but someone from Emirates. So he owned both boats. We were both kind of cruising together. Boris was taking in water and had to hang a right to Oman. So we're heading back from Bali, back towards into the Med, and they had to boom. I forget, some kind of window caved in. Like the seas were massive, so they took on water, and they have their own harrowing tale. Like I had a pot of bolognese on the hob, and that like slid off. And, like I was doing push-ups, believe it or not, and it just big burn on my leg, not deep, but definitely like
doing push-ups.
Yeah, it gets boring, bro. It's just like I remember this is crazy. The dishwasher came out. The regular Crew dishwasher came out. If you didn't latch it, the whole thing. So both trays came out completely full after Crew dinner. Nothing broke. It was like magic. We're all just looking around like, holy shit. That was about to be the biggest mess this crew mess has ever seen. And not one thing broke on 2 trays being ejected from the dishwasher. Unbelievable.
Miracle.
How do we get there from provision? All right, what's next? What's your favorite place and time of year to provision?
Oh, I mean, you really can't go past the Med. Like it's very hard. Yeah. I can't nail it down to one place because every little place has their like certain things that I love, like Croatia, you know, and their amazing tomatoes, and like the south of France where they're really like they just look after their produce so well and package it all, and it's a love that you can see in their markets and stuff. So I mean generally south of France probably.
Yeah. I can't think of a better place. And exactly what you said, like, yeah, Alaska, salmon, great. Crab, amazing. Yeah. Halibut. There's not much else. Like the produce sucks, you know, like there's just no market for it. But I think because of the market, because like most rich people want to come to the Med and play there, the provisioning is top of the line. There is no better provisioners than what's in the Med in the summertime because the competition is so fierce. They're all really good. And yeah, the fruit and veg is unreal, and it's the time of year. You know, it's southern. It's the northern hemisphere summertime. It's awesome.
It's amazing. It's like peak produce, isn't it?
Yeah.
But also that fact. I mean, a lot of people don't understand the logistics of getting produce from all over Europe is quite easily these days. You know, like these provisioners have just got it sorted. You could have anything you wanted within 24 hours or less.
Yeah. True.
So, you know, it's not a big deal these days. Before, I felt like it used to be a little bit harder. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, it is harder, even in the U.S. You know, it's not as organized. It's not as it's just harder, and the quality is not nearly as good. So even when I'm in the Caribbean, I don't get stuff from the U.S. I get it from you get it from Holland, like because you're in St. Martin or around St. Martin usually, and things get flown in on the what's the Dutch airline or the French one, doesn't matter. It comes in from Rungy Market outside of Paris, and the Dutch do like the coolest hydroponic stuff all winter. So again, back to pressure, because like people expect the tomatoes in March to taste like the tomatoes in August. They don't. Mm-hmm. They never will. Like, oh, these tomatoes don't taste right. It's like, well, it's fucking March, dude. What did you expect? Like, just because you have money doesn't mean you can have August tomatoes in March. Sorry. So that's pressure. You know, that is a high expectation season in the winter, and the produce doesn't even touch with the summer produce. Yeah, I think that's a challenging time.
So you cut out there for a little bit, but I get the gist of it.
All right.
I know you've been in the industry a lot longer than me, and you've done things like this a lot longer, because I started, as I said, going to the markets and, you know, really getting out there and not using provisioners. But, you know, when I got on Arians, so like, you know, you have the choice of flying stock in from Europe to the Caribbean, and you're like, what? How does that make sense? America's right there, you know. But it's just it blew my mind the lengths that we go to give the best produce possible. It's crazy.
Yeah. And the avenues that are open to us. Like, I mean, the only reason that's even practical is because the St. Martin, as you know, this is for everyone else, is that it splits, a Dutch side and a French side. So there are direct flights from France and Holland all day, every day, all night, every night. So it's easy just to whack on a bunch of food there for whatever kind of, and then we'll use a provisioner locally out of Antigua or St. Martin, and then they organize it. They have to sign off for it. Agents are involved. It's kind of a pain in the ass that we thankfully don't have to deal with it. And that's how. I mean, it would be rough to survive. Like when COVID started last year, I did a 8-week charter starting in March in Antigua, and we had to get everything locally. And we had it's so crazy. We had this woman that she owned a bar that got shut down, so she just turned into a provisioner for us, and she was awesome. This Aussie woman, and so she just go around buying stuff because we weren't allowed to leave the boat. We were on lockdown. Guests were on lockdown, and it was hectic. But I mean, it would be really hard in normal circumstances to cook that way with just some really shitty local ingredients. No offense, Antigua, I love you, but no.
Goats and weed, aren't they famous for?
Yeah. Oh man.
I saw a friend's story the other day, and literally it was like they went and picked up a goat, literally to barbecue, right there and then. They went through the whole process, and
wow.
it was pretty hectic. It was just literally it was just goats and weed on the island.
Like real weed?
Yeah.
Ganja. No shit.
Ganja. Yeah.
I'll have to pick that up before. They should smoke goat with weed. Marijuana goat. Yeah. I had goat quite recently. I gotta dig to my video of them cutting the neck and bleeding it out, and yeah, they roasted it. It was I thought I was gonna be in charge of it, but they just took care of it. It was awesome. It was really good. Goat's excellent. I've also had one delivered to the yacht in Greece. The Brazilian owner, Brazilian charter guest, knew a guy, had a guy, fresh goat. So when I squeezed the goat's forearm, so lift it, it was never refrigerated. It felt oddly human, and and then just I hung it upside. I cut it into pieces and then hung it with hooks from these things in the Rationale oven. I don't know if you can see on the video. And then it just hung and roasted that way. It was awesome. They loved it. But I got this eerie feel of a huge gnarly goat. But all right, next question. All right, this is kind of a nuanced one. Shopping at a supermarket or outdoor market with guests on. Do you do it? How do you balance your time? How does it affect the rest of your day when you do it?
I mean, I only really go out there if I'm desperate. It's really your time is so valuable on charter. Yeah. The things that you can get done in an hour or two out there going to the supermarket is way more valuable than trying to get out there. So, I always try to either get the deckies to run out for me if I know what I need to get. They love going out there anyway, I'm pretty sure. So, or have, my onshore provisioners help me out, which is, really to have that connection with a good onshore provisioner, it's invaluable.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like provisioners, good ones, and especially when you build a relationship, become your right hand man. They're part of the galley team because the captain coming in or the chief steward is coming in with a guest request of something they just thought of. And we're well, we don't have it, and it just magically shows up on the dock in between an hour or a day, depending on the ingredient. It's incredible. It's incredible.
It's brilliant. Magic.
Yeah. Going to the market in the morning, it is. I do try to do it, but that's my break on for the day, and I'm not complaining, but that's a reality. If I go to the market in the morning, that's my 16 hours straight right there. There won't be any time for a break later. But going to the market does get you inspired, and sometimes you can get some shortcuts. Oh look, I've got a tart trapezienne, and then it's dessert done for the day.
Yeah.
Or whatever, grab some roast chickens, and then that frees up your second chef to help you more because that crew chickens are done.
Yeah,
it's
I agree.
A double-edged sword. I'm with you though, and it sometimes it takes, depending on how busy and hectic the charter is, sometimes it's going to take a shoehorn to get me out of the galley because I'm so busy, and I'll send deckies in. But just like you said, I mean, it just depends on the charter.
Yeah. It depends how close the market is, or logistically getting out of a marina. It's just to get out of there takes half an hour sometimes. I don't know. I can get a taxi and organize that. You speak the language, because we're, a lot of us aren't bilingual, so it's a mission. But
I think we should do some recordings, and I know you do it more than I do, about provision runs, because people don't understand the logistics of finding it, getting it into a car back somewhere, getting a taxi in another language. It's depending on your Fahrenheit or Celsius. It's ripping hot outside. So you're transporting stuff fragile. Like I've had huge just truck dumps on the dock in San Tropez. We're all getting sunburned putting the stuff away because there were interior staff were like inside all summer.
Yeah.
Skin. So we're out there like, and it just things are dying. You know, the sun is just beating down on your fresh herbs, your microgreens, your microcrests. It's just crushing the strawberries. And then it has to go into a tender. It's windy out, salt spray all over the shit, more sun, back on the boat. Like it's hectic sometimes just to get stuff back to the boat. Like it's a mission.
Yeah.
Then you go right back into cooking.
Yeah.
What's my life? Why do I do this?
Truly, it's a blur. Like sometimes it's just a blur. It's like, how did I just manage that? Like it's, you don't know how you do it sometimes, but here we are.
Here we are. Problem solvers. This is kind of a fun one. When you're shopping with crew, like I did yesterday, I went with Lizzie and Callie. Do you have certain strategies if they're trying to help you shop? Like if your shop is the focus, like we're going to do Callie. Like do you have separate lists, or do you try to like put them on different tasks?
So I'm going to be honest. Like I tend not to try go with other crew, not because I don't want the help, but because I don't want to feel pressured. Because as we know, like Stu's usually finish before us, right? Because our list is a lot smaller. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I want to have focus on what I need to do. And I think I just have a mission to you've got your own way that you get your provisions as well. Like, you'll go and do your dry goods so it can sit there, and then you'll do your maybe fresh food and like refrigerated food, and then you'll do your frozen goods, or, like you have your own way of doing it. So you don't want to feel pressure having like these crew that, they've got a job to do to get back to the boat, and you don't want to hold them up. So I've always got that in the back of my mind. So I don't know, like sometimes I want help, sometimes I don't want help. It just depends.
Yeah. It depends too, I guess, on the boat, like in what the boat's doing. Like now in the yard, I've gone with Lizzie a couple times, and then Lizzie, Callie, and it wasn't bad. But we run into, and this is what people kind of, and this leads into another question. But I'll finish my point first. Like the car gets filled and things get banged up. Like, at least it's not hot right now. But imagine like a hot car full of shit. No matter how smart you pack it, like heavy stuff on the bottom and then up, it's just like, it's just such a nightmare. So this leads into the next question with a lot of I call bullshit on it even before you give your opinion. I'm like, is it when captains usually, mostly it's management saying that the chef should go out and shop versus using a provisioner. Say you're in port, no guests on, 60 meter, 2 people in the galley. I'm still going to bang the drum of it's better to use a provisioner, and it's probably cheaper, even though they don't think that. It's the idea of here, but you say it, because I'm just going to answer my own question. That's not that fun.
Yeah, I mean, we all have our opinions deep down. We all know what the right answer is, but you've got these people that haven't done your job. They've never been in your position. It's not their, it's not what
expertise.
It's not their expertise. Like it's not, they're trying, it's like trying to, chime in on the engineer's job and saying, I think you should go out and get the oil, or go out and get this and this. Like they're not going to do it. Yeah, I mean, it's just not something that you do. But somehow the chefs always get grilled. Always, there's no way around it. We're always a point of conversation with management, with captains, with owners. It's always something like, to save costs there. But still, it's one of the most important things that people expect on a charter or the crew.
Yeah.
So, which brings me back to my point is you can work it in a smart way. Like restaurants, you think of restaurants, they don't go out and get their produce every day, do they? They get wholesale. They get wholesale fruit and veg. They get wholesale seafood, wholesale meat. It's the same for us. We can achieve those things as well. We can achieve at cost price. We can achieve delivery in refrigerated trucks, delivered, every few days, weekly or monthly. And I know you have the same mindset on this, and there's no reason why we cannot do this. We're saving costs in the sense of getting it wholesale. We're saving time that it would cost us if we put us on an hourly rate to go out and do it, and we could be doing other things that mean more, like upkeep of the galley, cleaning, all that kind of stuff. And then we're also saving money because it's I think I said that maybe wholesale. I don't know, but there's so much reasoning behind it, and I know you agree with me. And it's so hard to get that point across. I don't understand why it's not something that should be a standard across the industry.
I completely agree. And the only other things I want to add is that it depends. Maybe if it's a smaller boat and there's not so many mouths to feed, then you can fit everything in the car without completely fucking it up and wasting it. It's completely what you said, where these people that are making these decisions, that are putting these restrictions on us, they don't know what they're talking about. And this, well, at least it's, now we have a platform to
to vent.
Give our truth. But basically, even if you like wholesale, I totally agree. But even provisioners use wholesalers too. So even if they whack it up 20%, it's still going to be comparable or even slightly cheaper than shopping, getting into a car, getting it onto a conveyor belt, checking it out, bagging it, putting it back into a car, putting it into a taxi, taking it out of a taxi, putting it into a dock cart, getting it onto the boat, or the ship just shows up nice on the dock in a refrigerated truck and you put it away properly instead of finger bashing it all over the place. Like it's bad, but it's cheaper, right? And keep us cooking. That just keep us cooking and cleaning. The shopping thing is like, oh, now, yeah. I don't understand how that gets forced on us.
Yeah, it does. It does. That's it. Let it out. I feel like we're having
it's cathartic. I feel better already.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we should stand our ground in what we believe in, because we know that's what's right. We're not taking the piss. We're not taking advantage. It's just what we are trying to do the best for everyone, really.
It's our area of expertise. Let us handle that.
Yeah.
If the provisioner whacks up the price too high, then we choose another one. Like it's just like you said. I've never thought of your restaurant angle. That's a good one. You like, do restaurants go to Costco? No.
Maybe some. I don't know. Maybe some do, but it's general rule of practice. Like, I mean, we've all worked in restaurants, and it's just the way it works. We could be looked at as a restaurant, except we're not there to make a profit, and we're having $1 million guests on board. So
maybe we should talk about that, because I do think that's one of my favorite parts of cooking the way that we do, is that we don't have to make money off it. We have the freedom to do whatever we want, no matter how luxurious or expensive it is. We can play with whatever we want to play with.
Isn't that still blows my mind. Like we're caught up in it, but if you think about that, that's just like the dream. That is a dream job for a chef.
Yeah, like I agree. These ovens, I mean, a restaurant's got to pay for that somehow. This Thermomix over here, restaurants got to pay for. They got to justify it. We're just like, put it in a little email. Okay, can I get that? And they say yes, and that's it. It shows up or whatever. It's great.
It's incredible. Yeah, I mean, not only the best produce, but as you said, like some of the best equipment that you could think of. Like, just to stay ahead of the game and be the best charter and be the best chef. So.
It gives us free reign to experiment and do cool stuff and do research. Nothing's out of our grasp. Nothing we have to scrimp and save for 6 months to a year to be able to afford. It's like just have to justify it. But yeah, I love that part about our job.
Incredible. That's why it's so hard to leave, right?
Yeah. Oh man, imagine going back to a restaurant now. Having your own.
Having what?
Having your own.
We've all thought about it. I believe we've all thought about it. We've all played with the idea, but you start to talk about profits and surviving in COVID times. Like you've probably got a few mates that have restaurants, right? So you've seen how tough that kind of stuff has been. Like you don't expect stuff like that to happen, but you've got to prepare for it. It's tough, man. I've had a job this whole time, and I'm so appreciative of that. And these people have lost jobs in restaurants, and it's just
savings. They've lost their future completely. They're done. They got to start over again. Which, I mean, I don't mean to say they're done, but they've got to start over. I think COVID has exposed how fragile the restaurant industry is. I don't think we see it again like it was. I think it needs to be. I mean, maybe it's kind of like just shining a light on something that needed to change anyway, because it was like the first to go was restaurant and bars. All right, they're closed. Like, whoa, and they're on such shoestrings. And everyone thinks they're like, it kind of cracks me when you sit down to a meal with someone like, oh, let's make a lot of money here. If the things are expensive, I'm like, the margins are like this. If I pay $500 to go to a tasting menu per se in Manhattan, that The Chef is Rich. I'm like, wow, Thomas Keller does pretty well, but this is high rent. You know, this is right over Central Park. So I figure where I was going with that. Yeah, going back to that game, I don't think it's for me. But how about this? Like, because you well, at least speaking for myself, like I've had times in my career in yachting where I'm like, you know, it'd be nice to live on land, have a normal life, and you'll be talking about it with someone that doesn't work in yachting, and they're like, they kind of get closer, like, have you ever thought about opening up a restaurant? Like they've given you the key to your future, and I'm like, no. Why didn't I think of that? I've only been cooking for a living for like 28 fucking years. Thank you for saving my future. I never would have. Brilliant. I love that one.
No thought process into any of it, of opening it up. Just giving the idea.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Yeah, they're getting towards the end. These questions are getting a little grim. What's your favorite? Have you had like a favorite shopping trolley? Like you know, the one that folds up and you got taken ashore through the tender? Because that's another thing that like people not in yachting know about. It's like getting just from water to land and back. Tricky.
For me, like I think, you know, those big foldable trolleys, like the actual ones for the deck crew, maybe more so than whatever. So we were in Barcelona, and like the shop was literally across the road, like in Port Vell there. And you know, I always like tried to sneak off with the marina trolleys, because they're massive, they're huge. They're like, you know, this big, this, you know, half a meter deep, and I was just like, I'll just take a trolley to the supermarket. Like, it's just so much easier than getting those little granny ones, whatever they're called.
Yeah. And the granny ones are really like, you have to shop in a certain way, you know, which doesn't really make sense just to get the heavy stuff on the bottom. It's just like vertically just jamming whatever on the bottom is getting squashed.
Yeah,
I mean, the folding ones are annoying, but those are my favorite. Have you used one of them before?
What is it called?
The folding aluminum ones. They're like a garden trolley, but they fold and they have two people to the side. They're obnoxious. You look like a fool going to the market in Saint-Tropez or Portofino or whatever, but you can fit a ton of stuff. It's your own little personal shopping cart.
Okay. Yeah, never used that.
Yeah, I might try to get one. But we'll talk
we actually don't have one on our end. So, and it's been talked about getting a foldable trolley as well. So,
all right, set, done. I'll put the PO in.
Brennan's just there, like just spending up. He's messaging me like,
none of it showed up. Oh, all right, you'll like this.
What do you got?
How, like Williams Sonoma towels are the towel of the industry.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, this tea towel that are new to me and to you. All right, watch out, everyone. It's made by All Clad. This one's a little bit dirty, so it has like a smooth side and then like a terry cloth side.
Ooh,
fantastic! They're quite
I
large.
like that.
Yeah. So William type because Lizzie already has William Sonoma, so she's like, oh, you can't get the same brand. I was like, oh. All Clad. The pot company made the best tea towel in the industry.
The small things.
It is. Look how much joy this brings me. Like this saves my hands. It helps with cleaning. You know, it's my tools.
That's actually brilliant. I've never seen that before.
I think that's all the questions, man. Well, no, wait, one more. Have you ever seen a bag better for shopping on land than Carrefour bags, or anything like Carrefour bags?
No, I don't think so. I mean, they're pretty solid, hey?
Yeah, you can wash them, but then they get hard to fold when they get crinkly when you wash them. So like I wasted an hour because I only say wasted because it didn't bear any fruit. Like I couldn't find anything better than that looks sturdy enough. Yeah.
I mean, I think the next question is, are you a scruncher or are you a folder?
I'm a folder, man. I'm a folder.
So you must have hated. Did you find my like bag stash? Was it scrunched?
Yeah, it was. But like, I don't care because like you were busy as shit forever. I don't mind. Like that stuff. You'll come back and you'll find them folded. If I come back and they're scrunched, whatever. But like once they get old, they're really hard to fold. Once they go through the wash, they're hard. Yeah. That's why I'd like something with like just a little bit more structure, but that's not plastic. That's like kind of nice material. I don't know.
I think we've lost the the non-yacht chef viewers at the moment talking about.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They're like, we don't give a shit.
I don't have one handy. I would show them the absolute fascination conversation we're talking about right now.
Maybe you can cut it and run off.
I can. I'll be right back. Oh. All right, so I'm at car 4, and there's spare towels that will be in storage. These things, these are from Publix. Yeah. These are very small. We have a lot more of these.
They are. So just to run you through what happened there, we went for a massive provision, and for some reason we lost all our bags. I don't know what happened, but
twice already.
They were the only ones there. So anyway, had to make do.
No, it's all good. And then these are the Whole Foods variety. I thank Whole Foods for sponsorship. Yeah, I like these because they're less plasticky. And I think once we wash them, they won't be so crumbly.
Yeah.
But I think that we should probably wrap it up. If we're talking about like car 4 bags, then we ran out of subjects to talk about.
Well, I mean, I feel like this would be so beneficial to obviously yacht chefs, wannabe yacht chefs, and even just the general public. Like, I've just spotted your knife when you left there. That really cool knife back there, far left.
This one. Which one?
Yeah. Can I have a look?
Yeah.
What brand is that?
So this is a Takeda from Japan. So this is like entry level hand forged. So I think it costs about $500. I love it. It looks like it kind of looks like a murder weapon you'd find underneath a couch. Like, it's so thin. I think once you go Japanese, like you don't go back to German because they're so thin, and the tang only comes to here. You can feel it. So it's a real front heavy knife, which makes it even faster. Where like even this one is like way too much weight in the handle. This is a good knife too. I love it. It shouldn't. But there's too much weight in the handle, where this is like the handle is just wood.
Nice. So, which brings me to my point. I feel like we could do an episode on knives. We could do an episode on galley equipment. Like there's just a massive stuff that we could talk about.
No, I'm happy to have you back on. Like it'd be fun. Like we're just like, I think what we did today, we kind of focused on shopping and provisioning, and let's talk about knives. Let's talk about anything we can think of, but we can do that behind the scenes, so we're not talking about it now. But and if anyone wants to leave stuff in the comments of what you want to rather veteran yacht chef to talk about, leave in the comments, and Dean and I will go over it, or Dean and I and some industry expert, whatever. Galley design, we'll talk about, do a whole 2-part series on that. Thanks for coming, man. It's been fun. Is there anything you want to like talk about? Any projects you're working on other than coming back to Arians?
I mean, I've got a bunch of things in the background, which has been great because I've had, I'm on 10 weeks rotation now. It's really incredible. I'm absolutely loving it. Nice. You just put on the back burner when you're full time. You're just like, no, I'll get to it. All of a sudden, I'm 2 years in Arians, and I'm just absolutely tired, and I just want to have a break. And anyway, so I've got these things in the pipeline at the moment, and I hope to bring them to fruition soon. And well, we can announce them here when you want to share them with the world. But if they're not ready yet, I don't want to say, but I'd encourage anyone to check out The Yacht Chef on Instagram. Dean is obviously a talented chef, but he's also a talented videographer and photographer. So it isn't just about like yachts and cooking. Like he just did this amazing little was it 6 minutes on the Galapagos, but like great soundtrack, cool like just what you were able to see. And I noticed the weather sucked the whole time, but it was still beautiful. It was really pretty like overcast, but it was. I think it was the vibe of the video as well. It's like the colors for because it was just kind of gray. The skies were gray. Yeah, I loved it. Make the most of it. Yeah, and you did. You're just underwater, on top of the water, on land, whatever. Just going for it. Yeah, amazing. Well, I appreciate you inviting me onto the show.
Yeah, it's actually called Get the Fork Out. We didn't even talk about the title.
Get the
yet.
fork out.
Yeah.
There you go. Hey, I love it.
All right, Dave. Thanks a lot, man. We'll do this again, definitely.
Nice one. Thanks, mate.
All right. See you, homie.
Bye, you, bro.
All right. Let me cut there. Sick, man. That was easy. That's the first one we're done.
That was good. I'm excited to see who else you get on the show. And
I got coming up next on Tuesday. He used to be a yacht chef. He's a buddy of mine, Eduardo Garcia.
okay.
He did a documentary on Charge. He might have seen he lost his arm from like here down. He accidentally touched through a dead bear, not making this shit up, an underground power cable. And so electricity entered his body, like his arm, they had to cut it off to save it because they couldn't have, it would have been gangrenous, but it left his body. He has like a fucking cannonball sized hole. His ribs are gone. They had to move like part of his lat to become his pec. It left through his head, like all that shit. He's such an inspirational dude. But I knew him before this happened. Like I was friends with him before this happened to him. And he was just like that type of person. I wrote him, I'm like, dude, I know you're gonna make this your bitch. And he has, dude. He does like all this charity work with Challenge Athletes Foundation. He's got a line of products called Montana Mex that I've invested in. And so like he's got this massive following too, like millions of, and so it'll just be really cool to have, it's just awesome. I just feel lucky that I have friends like you and him, and it's just cool.
I hope you enjoyed that interview. He's a great dude, talented chef, and just a fun guy to be around in general. So I enjoyed that interview. Hope you guys did as well. Next up is going to be my friend Eduardo Garcia. I've known this crazy dude for almost 20 years now. His story is very interesting. Ex-yacht chef turned sauce maker, but something very extraordinarily bad happened to him that he has managed to flip it around on its head and choose to make his experience inspirational to others. A really, really special dude. I'm very proud to call my friend, and we will hear from him next.